Hi guys, my name is Vlatka and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna share with you a few tips on how to make your alpha projects look better and to avoid any confusion. In this video I'm gonna focus on the flat alphas and I will make another video related to the clean back alphas. I also want to thank Fabiana for allowing me to use her amazing pattern number 36276 on bracelet book for sharing these tips with you. Are you ready to make your alpha projects look better? Then let's begin. One of the things that bothered me the most about my alphas were the edges. They always turned out kind of bumpy until I started doing these things. First, I incorporated a straight edges technique into my alphas. Straight edges technique basically means making a forward-backward knot on the right edge of your alpha project and backward-forward knot on the left edge of your alpha project, instead of just forward or backward knots at the edges. So, when you start your row on the right edge, you first make a forward-backward knot, then continue making backward knots until you reach the last string on the left edge of your row. Then you make a backward-forward knot to finish the row. Then you move to the next row. Since you now start your row on the left edge, you first make a backward-forward knot again, and then continue making forward knots until you reach the right edge of the row. Then, again, make forward-backward knot to finish the row and move to the next one, and so on. The second thing that helped me keep my edges straight is pulling the base strings on the edges slightly to the sides while knotting. As you can see, after each knot I make, I tend to pull the base strings slightly to the left. I do it for the first couple of strings. When I reach the other side, I do the same, but instead of pulling the strings to the left, I pull them slightly to the right. Again, I do it for the first couple of strings. The other thing that helps keep the edges straight and overall make my alphas neater are color switches and keeping your back in order. For example, if the string you need for knotting, in this case a pink one, is placed like this, intertwined with the purple one. Take the purple one out of the way so you prevent unnecessary accumulation of the strings in the back. So, instead of having your strings intertwined with each other, put the strings you are not using to the side and out of the way of the strings you are using to make knots. Also, use a ruler to straighten the rows like this, and do it after each row you make. Yes, after each row. Then, make sure to adjust the bass strings by pulling them to the sides as well. And if you are making a wall hanging or a keychain, use a pin to adjust the top by making a space between the bass strings. That way, you make sure that the bass strings are not too close to one another. From time to time, make sure to slightly pull the edges of your alphas to the sides as well, like this. And make sure that the strings on the back are not too tense. Let me show you how I make sure they are not too tense. First, I'll pull the strings I do not need out of the way. Then, I'll make one knot with the blue string and 3 knots with the black string. Now, I need to make an additional knot with the blue string I used before. I make 1/2 of the knot, place the black string in the back, and now slightly pull the bass string on which you are making a knot with the blue string to the side, so when I finish the knot, it will be looser in the back. Do this every time when there is some space in between the knots you are making with the same string. If there is too much space between them, for example, you use it on one side of the alpha and then on the other side, it's better if you use 2 separate strings for those knots. That way you will save some string and avoid making them too tense in the first place. Some additional tips I have for you, not necessarily related to the edges, are: when making knots, let the string you are using for knotting be a little longer, so it's further away from the actual knot you are making, like this. I notice that makes my knots look better. When color switches are coming up, make sure to count the number of strings which needs to be knotted with one color in advance, and divide them from the strings which needs to be knotted with another color by putting them to the side, just to make sure you do not mess up. To keep the strings in the back in order, put the strings you are not using out of the way, on the opposite side of where you are knotting. For example, if you are knotting from left to right, put the strings you are not using on the left and make sure they do not intertwine with the strings which you are using for knotting, like I showed you before. And that's it. Hope you find these tips useful. If you have any other tips or any questions for me, let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure to like, comment, subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss my new tutorials. Knot with you next week. Bye!